What is up, guys? Today we'll be doing our pre-weekly call for the week of November 28th. So this week we have a lot of high impact news as well as the monthly close. So we're going to be looking at monthly charts as well to see what the monthly candle could be reaching for, or if it has already reached its potential target. If it has reached a potential target, we'll be thinking of power of three, distribution, above all the highs or lows, or mitigating PD arrays. So as always, let us start with dollar. So last week, let's clean this up a bit. Last week we were looking for this daily opening gap as well as this monthly opening gap for rejection. We got it. So clear target is lower for dollar. Look at the monthly chart. For me, the monthly could possibly be reaching for this sell side pull here. 1 second, let me change this. For this sell side liquidity pool here. And then that will also be paired with this monthly order block. And this would be a good area where we're going to be, accumulating on the monthly time frame going into December and Q1. So weekly close below this fair value gap here. Candle not closing inside. So institutional order flow is strong delivery to sell side. So this week I'll be looking at this swing low candidate as well as this sell side delivery pool as annotated on the monthly. Here and here. Those are my two weekly targets. Now, how are we going to get there? So this was, last week's analysis. How are we going to get there? I mean, this to me, even though we didn't take a swing low yet to come back, to necessarily need to come back into this range, this is your retracement leg. And here's your displacement, candle closing below the fair value gap or inside right on the line. Yeah, this is the candle high 106.067, close 106.062. So it is actually below the fair value gap here. So we'll see if Monday wants to deliver higher. This could be a power of three target, temporary high, short-term high inside of daily fair value gap. And I'll take this. Here. So on the 4 hour, we've created a short-term high inside a daily fair value gap. We could definitely run this before coming lower because we do have on this time frame, the 4 hour, we have this unmitigated fair value gap inside the daily fair value gap with the swing high right below it. Where does premium and discount put us? Here. So yeah, so this fair value gap is premium, even though the low isn't. I would still consider this a premium fair value gap because part of it is in the premium. So rating this prior to going lower is something I would be looking for. like this. But we do have to consider that the monthly close is here, so we could just open up bearish because technically this fair value gap has been mitigated and closed below the daily fair value gap and the monthly close. So we also have to consider monthly power of three, where we need to complete our objective and then revert back to the range. So, if we are going to open up and Monday is going to be, our weekly power of three, I'd look for Monday to run this high. But if we just look bearish right away, I'll look to complete monthly power of three, where we just come down here, run these targets, one of these targets or both of these targets, and then come back into the range. And then we'll revisit that idea the following week. Monthly closes are high time frame in general, whether it be, weekly, not weekly, monthly closes, quarterly closes, half year closes, yearly closes. They become quicker as they're seeking to meet their objective, or aggressive profit taking and stuff like that takes place on those much higher time frames. So things to consider. With this framework, let's hop into indexes. Let me just screenshot this real quick. All right, let's hop over to, we'll start with SPY. So this was, the past couple of weeks. This has been my analysis, and I've been sticking to it. Last week, I know I didn't do anything besides send out a bunch of old charts. I was looking for a deeper run into this order block, but we're just doing institutional order flow entry drill. We're seeking bullish PD arrays and rejecting it. Let's hop over into the monthly. Take everything off to start. For me, I don't think there is a draw here on the monthly. We're closing above this fair value gap, so that's something to be considering. We could be looking at this high long term, heading into like Q1. We could run this and then possibly go lower after mitigating more of this order block. But for me, there's really nothing on this time frame, considering how far above we are from the monthly fair value gap. I don't have that on anymore, so we will drop down. As I was mentioning, I'm just going to take this off. We'll hide this for now. As I mentioned, for this, we're just completing order flow, entry drill, FVG partially mitigated, with creating an order block, expansion higher, order block created, partially mitigated. Now we're looking at expansion higher. So obviously for me, I'm looking at this high, which is really close here. That wouldn't be a weekly target for me. I'm going to look somewhere inside of this wick on a lower time frame. For me, there's really nothing here. Once we, get a like 4-hour close above this fair value gap, I'll be looking just for confirmation into this swing high. Whether we get that this week, I'm not sure. But I do want into SPY to take out this swing high. Now, what does that look like for the week? I'm going to leave this up because this is the image that I'm still like basing my week on. So we could be looking. Here's a fair value gap. We could either be dropping into this fair value gap and then going up, and taking out and looking and seeking buy side, or buy side first, mitigate daily fair value gap, and then reach for buy side. Moving on over to Nasdaq. Nasdaq was the same thing. Nasdaq, I really thought I'd be getting the deeper retracement with Nasdaq, because Nasdaq tech in general is always going to be the weakest in market conditions like this. So I figured we'd be getting, more mitigation of this weekly order block, possibly even tapping into this daily order block versus the weekly order block. But it didn't. We just wanted to, barely run into sell side here. I'll delete this for a second. Barely running into sell side here. It looks like equal lows in this time frame, but it did run into it prior to leaving. So in that regard, I was wrong, but the idea still remains the same. This daily order block is providing a lot of resistance. As you can see, the daily candles aren't willing to close above it yet. But with the continued dollar weakness, we should be seeing that break this week. Also, as you see, NASDAQ is already mitigating this daily fair value gap here. So let's look on the 4-hour to see what we could be looking to mitigate prior to the up move. This swing low is on the table. I'm going to move this. This swing low is on the table. Like I said, SPY could be going up and reaching for buy side. NASDAQ could be going up and reaching for one of these fair value gaps on this time frame, then going down prior to going back up. And for the weekly target, I'd be looking at that buy side target, and then this buy side target. Moving on over into Dow. Dow played out perfectly. Dow has, been the overwhelming strongest. We have 3 drives. We created the fair value gap. We had 3 drives into the for 2 drives. Hey, buddy, do me a favor and mute, please. Three drives lower, 2 into daily fair value gap, and this order block. This is consecutive down close candles. This wick tapping into it, and then if we don't get our shift till here, consolidating in this fair value gap prior to our push up. So we've already hit relatively this objective. So let me go to the month. The monthly. For me, there's really no target on this time frame. I could be going and looking what the center of this monthly candle is here. That's also far away, so I'm not going to be looking for the candle to be respecting that on the close. Drop down into the weekly. And all this liquidity is relatively run. So let's be looking inside of this weekly wick for something. I'd be looking at the last candle of this order block, as a draw above the weekly imbalance. Same thing, that I've said, the same thing, different context or shape, but the same context. We could run up, running last week's high into this weekly volume imbalance here, lower into this daily fair value gap for institutional order flow entry drill, and then up into that order block. And that's what I'll be looking for Dow. Gold. Now, I haven't done gold live, often, but it's been shaping up very nicely these past 2 weeks, and I've actually traded them, these past 2 weeks, which I don't normally do. But when you see, the higher time frames all start to agree with your directional bias, and you see these clean PD arrays and stuff like that getting mitigated and respected, it's, follow the volatility, follow, the clear picture. I normally don't trade gold, but it's presenting very clean opportunities, so it's my job to identify that and capitalize on it. Let's go to the monthly to start out. Monthly for me, no real draw. I don't see us really going, 52 points, 54 points in 3 days, by Wednesday to start the week. So I'm not going to use this as a draw. And this isn't considered on the monthly chart, this weekly close, this here, which is going to be my first target for the week. So let me go back to this weekly chart real quick. Oh, my weekly chart. So yeah, first target's going to be the swing high, and the second one's going to be the next swing high. That's what I'm looking for. Really clean, weekly chart, respecting, weekly fair value gap. We come here, create an order block, and then even though they look like equal lows, this below this candle is 16.1671, and this candle is 16.1730. So we did run out a failure swing prior to this move up. I don't see us coming down into this order block here. Here prior to moving back up, but it's good to have on your chart in case the forecast doesn't happen or the markets don't, pan out how you want them to, because that's always a possibility. But, weekly candle, closing above this fair value gap. So this to me suggests, institutional order flow entry drill. What the daily look like? I'm still looking like we already had daily fair value gap mitigated. Did this run out this? 1732.55, 1732.12. So we did run out this swing low prior to this move up. So I'll be looking for gold to have, a bullish start to the week. And I'm just going to leave this analysis as is because I believe that, we're in this process. I do know on Friday the buy model started, and I did take a piece of it inside of this, right? So we ran out this low. Here's your swing high. Here's your shift with displacement, creating a fair value gap. Here's your fair value gap here. And I'll take you actually into a lower time frame so you guys can see this with your own eyes. Here. So here's your low risk buy on the 4-hour time frame. But we zoom in. Right at New York Open, we're in here. I took this on the 1 minute, but the 3 minute, shows it very nicely. Fair value gap completely filled. Run sell side here. Shift displacement, low risk buy. First distribution here. And then your silver bullet is here. I took this entry here. as it came down into this order block here. My first target was these relative equal highs, but this is low resistance because this one's lower than this one. So this was my first target, closed out the rest of the trade, but my end target was here. We got rejected, but like I said, the buy model is starting, and this sell model, started in here. All of this, so that's like the first target for me for the week, because this model is already underway. Even on the 15-minute, same thing. Your shift in market structure, here's your lowers, or here's your first distribution, second distribution on the way in this time frame. So this swing high is my first target. I am going to leave this as I said, because the analysis is still in play. Moving over to currencies. Pretty much the same thing with the indexes. I was looking for deeper retracements on all of them. Now here's AU, here's EU, here's GU. Looking for more displacements or lower prices on all of them prior to the higher prices, especially GU. But GU, like I said, last week has been under heavy accumulation since we ran out its all-time low. Now this is expected. We run out the lowest price. We're going to be looking for much higher time frame PD arrays. So like these highs, for me, this is definitely ready to be targeted. This is ready to be targeted. This is also low resistance liquidity, and there's this large imbalance that we could be reaching for. So I'll be looking at those areas. Monthly, sorry, let's not get ahead of myself. Go back to AU. Monthly candle, AU. Only thing I can think of it being reaching for is full fill here on this fair value gap. But a close inside would still match higher time frame order flow. We've been bearish all year. Swing high violated, fair value gap mitigated, displacement lower, breaker trades up into it here, displacement lower, fair value gap, close inside here could be suggesting we're seeking into this low, but that'll be Q1. This is the monthly chart. Hop over to the weekly. We did tap into this order block here on the weekly. Prior to this leg up, I have a lot to clean up. Give me 1 second. We're going to delete all of that. Weekly, we have a shift in market structure here. Fair value gap created. Weekly candle closing outside fair value gap still suggests higher prices. So modest target is going to be, we're actually going to delete this for now and put on this order block here. So modest target, let me delete this as well, would be this order block here, as well as this low resistance liquidity run that we're forming here, trading inside of a fair value gap here. This can come into play. there. That's a daily VI. Yep, daily. What does this look like? All right, we closed above it. I am going to annotate this because we have a weekly volume balance here as well. And we opened right on it. If we do decide to trade lower into this daily volume balance, I will be looking for, when we come back up, I will be looking at these highs as our target for the week. This to be broken and then used as support afterwards. Starts here. And then obviously we have this large daily gap. So AU analysis would be looking like this. Path through. There we go. I like this. Like that. All right, EU. EU, pretty much the same thing. Go with this monthly chart. For me, really nothing here that we could be reaching for on this time frame. Drop down to the weekly. Weekly for me, really just candle closes below this weekly volume balance. So but also above this weekly value gap. So I'm going to go with the newly respected PD arrays first. So I'm still looking for bullishness. We are going to delete this, and I'm going to be looking at these highs for the week here. Order block, buy side. GU, same thing. They're just gonna be looking for institutional order flow entry drill. Go on the weekly. I'll think these are in play over here. Start with this one. Buy side, easy draw. Higher. I mean, this has been an absolute rocket. And when you get there, really simple, really clear for me. Just fair value gap. Will we want to come below this low or not? I doubt it. So this is the last one high violated, so get below that. Use this old volume balance as support. Run to buy side. Super clear, super easy. Don't make things too complicated. UCAD. UCAD I've been a fan of recently. Monthly candle, bullishness is coming for this. I am still bullish on dollar long term, high time frame, as we see here, monthly fair value gap. So for me, we're not closing outside of this, so there's really nothing for me to get on that time frame. Close these in this time frame. last week's weekly candle closing below this fair value gap. So I'm going to be still looking for bearishness price action. And then the target would be this low here. How we can get there. That, sorry. We'll see if this respects this completely and just like doesn't even want to dig into it like we did over here, just complete rejection from this, then go lower. That'll be my confirmation. That's really it, because we are still bullish on this long term and it still correlates with oil. So, there's a little bit of more complexity to this one that I'm not going to dig in here, but that's what I'll be looking for to confirm bearishness, is a complete rejection of this daily order block. That wraps up the analysis for the week. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I hope everyone has a good week.